Loading snacks.
What's going on, Loading Snacks Universe? Your boy Jokes is here. I got the homie Gage, and it is time for another edition of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler boys!
Yeah, and if you guys can't tell by our backgrounds that we have going on right now, we are here to spoil Maul Shadow Lord.
I mean, it would be hard for
That's
them to be able to tell if they're listening to the audio. You know what I mean?
I
So
mean, yeah, but they can see the title before they get in, so they'll kind of know.
there you go. There you go.
You guys read it. You came here for a reason, and that is to hear our opinions on what we think about Maul Shadow Lord. So
Hmm?
before we start talking about the show as a whole, we'll do our normal. We'll go around each other and see exactly where this sits as far as a rating right now. Gage, where are you currently at before we get into this deep
Um,
discussion on Maul Shadow Lord?
I think I'm sitting at like an 8.5, somewhere around there, like around an 8.5. It could possibly go up. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it would go down, but I'm sitting at like an 8.5.
Cool. Yeah. I'm at an 8. I think it's a solid watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's with Maul, you know, even though technically Maul is dead within the whole storyline of Star Wars, they continue to find ways to bring this dude back, making him relevant, which is really good.
I
I
mean,
mean,
he's been alive for like some years, bro. It's not
I
like,
know,
oh, okay, all right,
but
I'll just
I think yeah. Overall, the show is very enjoyable. If you've been keeping track of some of the previous Star Wars, like the animated ones that have been coming out, where he's made a comeback into it, this one continues that
Mm-hmm.
story along, and it doesn't slow down when this show kicks off. So, um, nothing. We don't really have to go straight through the show and everything, but any specific moments or anything about Shadow Lord that stands out to you the most? Uh,
I mean, look, I've said this time and time again. I am a stickler for fights and fight choreography.
mm-hmm,
And, within the Star Wars universe, they have a tendency to let fights go directions that I end up not being happy with because I just feel like in the middle of a fight, you just forget you have the force and you could just, like, you know what I mean? You could use it. I think that in this they make really good use of their lightsabers, their force powers. For the most part, most of the fights are like at a high pace, a
mm-hmm.
lot of speed, a lot of back and forth. Camera cuts are really good. Those are probably the things that stand out the most to me about the show, aside from the story, obviously, right? There are a couple of characters that I think are relevant and would live on. Spybot, I really liked from the very first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like Two Boots,
Two boots.
like they did a good enough job to make like I hate Two Boots, and I don't really feel like the redemption for Two Boots at the end is solid redemption. Like I don't even care because I just like I Two Boots is he's trash.
Oh,
I hate Two
like
Boots.
it seemed like he
Um,
he learned a little bit, but like I don't know if he's the type of droid. Like obviously he kind of things aren't right now that the Empire has shown up on the planet. And, he was warned, like, listen, we can deal with the
does he
issues
know
that
though?
I I,
Like,
I
does
don't
he
know.
know?
I
All
don't.
right,
Maybe he'll
okay.
learn. I'm not 100% sure if he's one of those that will truly learn. But like, Brander, who's like I guess for all his, he's a police officer, captain,
Hmm.
and as things are starting to unfold on the planet, clearly Maul has resurfaced, and by all means, yeah, it should be an immediate red flag. And when certain individuals or certain people show up, you're supposed to alert the Imperials, and so they can come and lend a hand to help out in these things that we're not technically equipped for. And
Hmm.
he's following his programming to what it's supposed to be, but it's like, dude,
Hmm.
come on, it's like you should know by now. Like, Imperial show up, things are not gonna go the way that you think they are.
Well,
But
who should know by now though? Like the humans do know.
mm-hmm.
Two Boots is the problem, right? And like I get it. Like programming and having to do what you're programmed to do and kind of avoiding it, but then just being like, I don't know, like there is something about droids that I guess it's like they are still like children in
Mm-hmm.
that they're like, well, nah, this is just these are what the rules are, and that's what we have to do. And then like it's kind of like, nah, I'm just gonna, it's fine. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and report it because once I report it, then like everything will be fine. You'll see, they'll come and everything will be good, and you'll thank me later, kind of thing. Because that way we don't have to deal with it. Um, for failure to understand. But here's what I'll say:
Mm-hmm.
Lawson, I personally think, should have just been more forward with Two Boots about
Mm-hmm.
why. Like, so what he would do to Two Boots is he would try to reason with him like he's a human that should understand when he knows Two Boots is not a human who understands.
He's
Clearly
programmed.
by the programming and like the questions that he asks, right? Like and again, here's the thing. A story always kind of takes me out of its own lore and its own story when you don't stick to your own rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Two Boots' entire personality as a droid is written and acted around him being a stickler for the policies and what the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, this dude's name is Two Boots based on him doing something that is outside of the
Side of what?
policy. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, literally, it takes the logic of the entire story and how
Mm-hmm.
you've built how the Empire gets there in the first place based on this droid who is so policy driven that
Mm-hmm.
this is our MacGuffin. This is the person that's going to cause the issues that's going to end up bringing the Empire here. That whatever. And truthfully, in the end, it doesn't really make any sense, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he has to be told that what he has on in his boots is not standard issue
It's
and
not
is
standard.
outside of
Get
policy.
rid of him. Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know that. Like he knows everything there is to know about policy and like what we're supposed to do and what the protocol is and the numbers. That kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that takes me out, right? When
Gotcha.
I'm in the middle of enjoying something like that. And it's just the way my brain is wired. For a lot of people, it probably didn't even register. But for me, immediately at the end of it, because I'm listening to them call him Two Boots the whole time. And to be honest, I never really looked at Slim's
So,
boots. I probably should have. And like, whatever. They call him Two Boots, they call him Two Boots. As far as I know, every droid in that joint got some sort of a
some
nickname.
type of
You know what I mean?
name,
Like you
nickname
know what I
to it.
mean? Like we don't really ever hear them call them quote unquote by their names or
Right.
whatever. So, as far as I know, everybody got a nickname. But
Right.
Two Boots being
Two
such a
boots.
stickler, and again, not that he can't override it, because when he would get told by Lawson, like, no, that's not what we're doing, we can't do that, it's
Mm-hmm.
not time, don't do it. Sometimes it feels like Lawson is just telling him kind of as a superior, even though he's he's his partner. So like, I don't really know that he's his superior, so to speak.
Right.
Um, and other times it just really feels like the stubbornness of him as a human with whatever's going on in the background with again like the ex-wife
Mm-hmm.
going off to work for the Empire and him being not a fan of the Empire. And we don't really ever get whether or not he's not a fan of the Empire because he already really wasn't, or if it's because of what happened between he and his
Him and
wife
his wife. Mm-hmm.
and her going to work for the Empire. So one of the things I like is how the story is kind of divvied up into these kind of other background stories that like you get pieces of, but you don't necessarily get the whole thing, and you
The
don't
full
really
run of it.
need them to understand a character's motivations, right? So, um, I like we could go on and on about the different characters. Like I like a lot of the characters. I like a
Hmm.
lot of the characters that are introduced in the show, and Spybot's probably my favorite though.
Cool, cool. Now I'm not mad at Spybot. Like,
Yeah,
there's always, from the Maul standpoint, he's always had a droid with him, like from the early days of the Phantom Menace,
yeah,
all the
something.
way through. And I think it's kind of funny for Maul as a character to actually seems like he kind of cares a little bit. So when when they were running from the Imperials, and they had to go across this like acid lake that was there,
Yeah, I mean that's at
and
the end. Yeah,
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 and when he ends up getting destroyed, and you see like Maul, like you can see like he had a little bit of emotion. Now, granted, it's revenge because that's just what Maul is built on. But
sure.
to see him kind of really show like he cared. It was almost it was a little weird and scary. I guess you could say at the same time like
Cared
this
about
dude,
who though?
the droid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, well, I look a couple of things, right? Like the droid Spybot is clearly an advantage for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
what Spybot is doing, but again, like you grow accustomed to having certain people around you. He has a team.
Mm-hmm.
He's losing brothers, if you will, like
Mm-hmm.
throughout, what's happening in the show. So, it's understandable that he has that, and for him to kind of have that towards Spybot. Spybot might have been, truthfully, the only person, if you will, on his team that he actually trusted.
Valid.
You know what I mean? So when you are a character like Maul, you're the most untrustworthy kind of character there is. So all of the people that you build around you, like the people who are following him because he basically reclaimed Mandalore. So they're
Mm-hmm.
like, we're listening to you because we have to. But you can hear the dissension in the ranks when they're like, yeah, but where the money at? Like, really,
Mm-hmm.
we here to get this money. And so if this money ain't coming, like I ain't really. And they are not just following him out of that; they are following him out of fear, right? Because if they try to leave, if they were to give up his position, if they were to, whatever, they also know who Maul is and what Maul does, right? And so in making Maul a mobster, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, right? He's the Shadow Lord, so he's a mobster. People don't truthfully follow mobsters out of full on loyalty. It's not that it's not there and it doesn't exist, but the reality of it is, where are you gonna go? And most of the time, if someone turns, they have to turn to someone who they feel like can protect them or defend them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's the police, could be the Empire in this case, could
A
be the police
former
in this
Sith
case,
Lord.
right? Could be another mobster, you know what I mean, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Like you're dealing with that, and that is also one of the things that I like about the show is that the show, one of the things I think Star Wars really needs to help, um, flesh out the worlds, to
Mm-hmm.
truly flesh out the worlds of Star Wars, is to not always be so caught up in the Empire and the Republic and the whatever and that kind of war and the politics of it, but like this is a lived in universe. There are things that are happening, and we've always had that. Like Jabba the Hutt is a mobster for all, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for all intents and purposes, right? So there's always been some of that, but having shows that kind of lean a little bit more into that, shows that are about the like that kind of a thing. For somebody like Maul, we're really digging into a little bit more of the psyche, the kind of mental position that he's in. We're dealing with a character who is now, truthfully, in between what it means to be a rebel for the rebellion or on the side of the Empire, and kind of is really working to weave the lines between the two,
Mm-hmm.
mostly for his own revenge, but also for survival. Right? Can't trust the Empire. They'll turn their back on you. Blah blah blah. You got to do things on your own. This is how it has to happen. This is how I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's special. I also think that when you introduce a couple of new Jedi's that people aren't familiar with and don't know, that you have to do something to kind of make them agreeable to you in some sense. And I think they
Mm-hmm.
did a decent job with these two. I don't necessarily love either one of
Mm-hmm.
them. But I could.
As we
You know what
get
I mean? Like
build
I
a little
feel
bit.
like especially as we get to the end. Um, but like where we are when the show starts in terms of like Maul just kind of moving to get revenge on those who have more or less double crossed him
Mm-hmm.
and so forth, and kind of set them up to having the Empire there and that turning into this whole other thing. I think that the show has some of the best pacing I've seen in a Star Wars show, period.
I will agree with that.
From episode to episode, what is happening in each episode, following the storylines across multiple characters in multiple places. So where's
Mm-hmm.
Maul and what is Maul doing? Where are our Jedi's and our Padawan and what are they doing? Where's Lawson and the police and what they're doing? And then eventually, oh, here comes the
Bringing them.
Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they and what are they doing? Where are the Inquisitors and what they like? It all kind of begins to tick the boxes and really it's so easy to follow. And at you know the 30-minute mark
Mm-hmm.
for these episodes,
I think it's damn near perfect. Like
it's spot on.
it doesn't give you enough time to let things slow down and kind of just seem like okay, we're just doing this to fill in this runtime. It's like everything is strategically like, listen, we're gonna focus on these, like just like you said, like we're gonna focus on the Imperial coming in. We're gonna focus on Lawson and the cop angle. We're gonna focus on the
Mhm.
Jedi for a minute, and at some point,
Mhm.
we're gonna bring them all together, and we're just going to, what, they're all gonna fight with one another. Like it's, I think they did a very good job at doing that, and it didn't make it seem like that any one piece got forgotten. Like you said, like I think they did a good job of dropping some nuggets here and there, and obviously not everything got answered by the time we got to the end of this, which you got to leave some questions unanswered because if you answer everything by the time you get to the end, people may not necessarily want to come back for more on there. But
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a really good job again with the pacing, the timing, the introduction of characters. But it's not just that. It's also the introduction of like abilities, the introduction of like learning what one can and can't do. Um we don't really overdo it, I think, with like the individual factions
mm-hmm,
that exist. Like that's there a little bit in the first few episodes, two or
mm-hmm,
three episodes, but begins to wane, a little bit as the stakes get higher because of what's going on and the threat of the Empire and so forth. And then the focus shifts and it doesn't feel like it just switches on you, right?
mm-hmm,
Like it just, when there's a fight, it feels like there's supposed to be a fight there. Like it doesn't feel forced at all, right? When there's a shootout, it feels like there should be a shootout and it doesn't really feel forced at all. The motivations for the majority of the characters in each one feel like they make sense,
mm-hmm,
right? Whether it's like Lawson going to somebody who knows who might be able to hook him up or get
mm-hmm.
him some
Get them
information
off.
he needs, or whatever that is. Even Lawson's son, kind of, I felt a little annoyed by it in the beginning. It just was like, clearly this is going somewhere, but right now
Right.
it doesn't feel like it's really hitting. They just dropped the nugget so that you're aware that like the mother's not around. We don't know why yet, And Lawson, being that he's a police officer, is consistently drawn away, isn't really paying attention to his son and what's going on with him, and that his son is really in need of him and missing him because he doesn't have the other parent around to
Right.
be there for his games and those kinds of things. And so like there's pieces of that push and pull that exist, which again I just think are important in terms of just laying the groundwork for the motivations of the individual characters
Characters. Mm-hmm.
and kind of giving you some insight where as a father and son kind of a thing, there is a Jedi and Padawan kind of thing that exists, and there is a push and pull, I think that exists in that space. And so it's like, they do a really good job, I think, of kind of laying all of that out, um, and making it work.
I fully agree with it. Like each, I don't think there is a character necessarily I felt that was out of place. Sometimes it feels like, you throw a character in that is just a comic relief type of character that seems like they just randomly try to throw that in there. Um, Two Boots obviously has his moments throughout, but they all feel like,
I
the
like that.
moments and the timing that they do with them actually make sense. And it's not just some random, hey, we got to make this droid be funny for like a minute or so. Like all of that felt
Hmm.
natural. Uh, I like the relationship that we're seeing. I guess you could say the confliction. So Devin, who is the young Padawan,
Yeah,
um, obviously loyal to her master, like as it should be as a Jedi Padawan, as you're learning and doing things. But
it's questionable,
as
but yeah.
questionable, that you say. Um,
Uh-huh.
Maul obviously has like there's a meaning and a reason why he's doing what he's doing. And obviously some of that Sith Lordness that typically you would think because he's not necessarily a Sith anymore, he wouldn't necessarily be looking for an apprentice. But clearly, like you
Correct.
said, someone like obviously that's going to have power, ability that's going to be able to help him further what it is that he's doing. So as we're going through the whole season, he's dropping nuggets to her trying to be like, "Listen, I can show you the way. Like you don't have to listen to the outdated tendencies of what it is the Jedi have to offer. Like the Jedi are gone. Like the Jedi don't exist in the way that they should. But if you
Hmm.
really want to, you know, become stronger, be able to, fight and claim what it is that you want, I can show you the way for it. And like through the whole entire thing, I gotta give him props in the way that he's just dropping like certain nuggets. Like, listen, I'm gonna show you the way. Hey, listen, if you want to get out of here, you're gonna have to trust me because we
Yeah.
both running from the same. Well, listen, we are both running from the Imperials right now, and the enemy of the enemy is my is my friend right now.
I, I
And
I would say that the thing about the show that I like the least,
mm-hmm,
and the reason why I like the show is not a 10, is because I don't actually think, to your point, I don't actually think they ever establish why it is that Maul feels like he needs to have an apprentice. Like
apprentice.
what it is about her. Clearly he knows that she's force capable and whatever, right? And but it but it is one of those things where it's like, well, why does Maul need an apprentice? What would be
Mm-hmm,
the point of him having an apprentice? If at some point he spoke of a motivation of being like, I'm going to I am on a search to find other force users and build what I need in order
whatever.
to like,
Yeah.
but it would seem that the motivation is so that he can get the revenge that he seeks, right? For being abandoned, right? For what the Sith did to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would appear that he is aware that he's not strong enough to do it by himself, and that therefore he's got to have somebody else to do it. And maybe it makes sense that he never quite says that because he doesn't seem like someone who would admit that he
Right.
doesn't necessarily have the ability or the powers, to fight what's coming at him. But even at that, I mean, the elephant in the room being Vader showing up and him being like, "This ain't no Sith.
This. Hey,
This is
listen.
something.
I don't
This
know
is
what
something different."
you are not an Inquisitor. What are
Yeah,
you? Because literally,
yeah.
it took all three of them. Hey, let me let me tell you about the way. Like when Vader's fighting them, like all his moves are just like super fluid and like there's no like until he starts. I don't want to. Maybe it's him getting serious. It's just like all just sudden moves that he's making. Like literally, like y'all are beneath me. Like I don't need to be all
100%.
extra. Like I think that was just blatantly there. The three of them, two Jedi and a whole previous Sith.
Hmm.
Like I will say they
Here's the
were.
thing, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of hate it. I kind of hate it. And the only reason why I hate it is because, I mean, look, I guess it speaks to how vicious Darth Vader
Yeah,
really is.
yeah.
But he's so stiff, dog. Like you really can't do like the way these Jedi and the way they can move, they should be able to punish them. Like I don't
Hmm.
you're for real, dog. You not one hand blocking all of this, dog. You not blocking all three of them come like and you not even getting hit, bro. Like I can absolutely see my man just being like, dog, I'm about to force shove all of y'all into outer space. Cool. Cause that's what I feel like you should do. Just grab Slim and
And just chuck, and
chuck him
just
into
chuck you
outer
to the.
space, bro. Cause if you can grab a ship and pull it down from the sky, you can certainly pick a person up and chuck them into outer space. However, they do such a good job of being like, hey dog, Maul's scared, bro. And it's kind of like, as you should be, bro. Like, they're just like, it's something in them woods. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey,
it's
no,
something in them
when
woods.
hey, listen, when I forget her, Rook, I think is her name, the Mandalorian that's like his lieutenant. She was
Rook.
like, I'm gonna go scout ahead. And the moment, she went and then she started coming back and she got yoinked. Like at that, I was like, oh, I was like, this is about to go so far left. And when he starts to walk through and that saber lights up, it's just like,
I mean, look, dog, like he's a robot. Like he can't move. Like he has nowhere near the dexterity or the movement of a Maul or like
mm-hmm,
he doesn't have Docky's like he doesn't. But Docky kind of moves like Yoda.
mm-hmm. Hey, he
He would be
did do.
familiar.
Hey, he did do when he passed off his lightsaber to Devin. He did like the citiest spin in the air type
Mhm.
thing, and I was kind of like,
Yeah, nah.
oh,
Yeah, nah. That's the thing. Like Docky got hands. Like there's something to be said about he got hands. But I don't know, man. Look, I'm gonna be real. I was so mad at Maul for letting my man Docky get bodied, bro.
hey, bro, he
They
pushed
might.
it.
There's a thing. They might have actually beat Vader. They really might have
Mm-hmm.
had it. Now, Devin was gonna die. She wasn't gonna beat that Inquisitor by her own, by
No.
herself. So she definitely wasn't gonna make it if Maul or Docky didn't go save her or
Yep.
help her or something. But like Maul knowing, like, in order for me to get her to do what I need her to do,
I gotta push her
I
over
gotta
the
let Slim
edge.
die.
Yep. I gotta push her over the
I
edge,
gotta
and he's
save
got to
myself
be.
and let Slim die. And she needs to see it. And it's very Sith. Like it's the Sith way. You know what I mean? To do that. I'm look, bro, I'm gonna tell you what. I don't know how you beat that. I don't know how you do another season of this and beat
Mm-hmm.
the final episode of this like I don't know what you do.
Oh,
They
it's a
have to
great.
fight again.
Oh, it's a great setup. Like I think they do a great setup leading in, but it's just like, oof. What do we top this? Like I obviously you have Vader fight the three essentially Force users that are left. Technically, two Force users that are left outside of the Inquisitors. But clearly she's going to be on a complete different path when season two we know is greenlit and it's gonna happen.
Sure.
Because she shows the visuals of the dark side. Mostly that yell, the scream. When she was talking about going to kill the Inquisitor, or at that point it was Vader, because that SWAT when she was fighting the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor disappeared, and I thought the Inquisitor was gonna pop back out, and it turned out it was Vader. And she starts fighting Vader for a quick second. I was just like, "Oh, you not about to make it to season two."
No, you're not.
It's like,
Your season's over. Like this is done for you.
and
Yeah,
so and Maul had to reach out. It's like, you are not strong enough. You are not going to do this.
clearly, clearly.
And
But she was
what's
angry
funny,
enough.
listen, she had the hatred. The funny part, like I was thinking, was I guess I guess Maul hasn't put two and two together. Obviously, Anakin Scott. I was thinking, other than as a child, I don't know if Maul has come back into contact with Anakin. I guess at any point. Oh, actually, no, he did in was that not Rebels? Or was that? No, it was the one before
I
that.
don't know, but I know that
I don't.
Anakin would know who. I know Vader would know who
Anakin
he is.
should. Vader should definitely know 100% no. But I feel like that's just going to make him be like, "Oh, this is Obi-Wan's fault right now that this is happening cuz this is his Padawan that has gone awry like cuz
Maybe.
that's like Maul's Achilles heel right there. Don't say Obi-Wan Kenobi. This dude is going to have a fit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not. The show is it's really good. Like here's the thing. I don't know if even at like an eight and a
Mhm.
half, 8.5, I would say that like I think that even if you're not a Star Wars fan, this you should watch this. I think this is good enough that it could take somebody who's not a fan, even if they're just moderately like knowledgeable and make them, you know what I mean, like could possibly turn them into a fan. I think that there's a lot of care I think that's
Mhm.
put into this. I was a little turned off at the beginning of it just cuz I kind of hate the look. Um, and it's not that it's bad, it's just that it's the same old look. Like I don't know, I kind of want to see a new animation style or something as
Mhm.
opposed to like the kind of like
This
staying in the 3D animated Clone Wars kind of a world. Like I kind of would like for them to establish something different. But what I do love about the look of this is that even though it has that look, it also adds a very like painted, not quite watercolors, but like oil painting
Mhm.
kind of look, sort of unfinished to the way the characters are realized on screen, which I do think is a really really good and interesting way to do it, and I think it works really well in this setting
Mhm.
with what they've done. The things that they did in terms of like the the battles themselves, like the individual fights that are happening, the fact that they like literally took like Maul screaming and worked that into the
Into
sound
the
of his
safe. Yeah.
lightsaber. Those things are things that like easily like if they didn't tell you that you wouldn't really know. You know what I
Right.
mean? But when you know, you hear it different. Like it's
Mhm.
got a different, tone to it. And this show does a really good job, I think, of fleshing Maul out a bit more.
I'll agree with that.
Um, and really giving Maul like seeing the motivations behind him kind of like what makes him tick, including the imperfections, that exist. Those moments where like in his head things quite aren't quite still together when he's more or less defeated and he's
Mm-hmm.
down and he's like looking at his own reflection in the water and kind of still talking to him, like not completely sane. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um those things I think are, again, really, really good, poignant moments within the show that I think help establish it as, like, dare I say, more than Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, I think a lot of Star Wars, not all of Star Wars, but a lot of Star Wars is caught up so heavily in being Star Wars. And I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I feel like you know what I mean. Like, a Star Wars thing is ostensibly a Star Wars thing. The things that are going on in the background, the things that, give reason to whatever are all there. And every bit of motivation that any character has is always still tied back to either a Jedi, either a Sith, or the Empire. Like, it's just all like that's all there is. That's all there is. You know what I mean? It's just what your expectations are. I think that if you're an outsider looking at Star Wars and trying to like understand why people like Star Wars so much, I think it's very easy, even if you have taken the time to pay attention, like to sit down and maybe watch some things, to just be like, this is all the same. Like, it all
Mm-hmm.
feels like the same thing. You know what I mean? Over and over again. And to some extent, that's kind of good because it means that they've done a really great job of like establishing the world and kind of grounding things and like you being able to tell that that's the universe you're in. But at the same time, I think it keeps a lot of people away because it just
Mm-hmm.
all feels the same. And I think
Same.
that shows like this, shows like Andor, where you really get to see the quote unquote humanity of the characters. And that's not to say that it doesn't exist at all in shows like Clone Wars and other things like that. I think the difference is that those shows, as high level as they can be, are
Mm-hmm.
still more or less shows that were developed for a younger viewer, for a younger audience. And so they're there, but it still kind of has a little bit of a sugar coating, you know what I mean, on top. And shows like Andor kind of help mitigate that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a show that I feel like rides like right in between, where like being
Okay.
animated, it kind of still is like, if you were young, if you are still young, but you are young enough that you were familiar with Clone Wars and that showing what was going on, like you could still watch this and it'd be okay. But I think that there's much more depth, it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
with this character, with
Character.
Maul specifically, because outside of this, you only get it really in kind of bits and pieces. You get
Mm-hmm.
spurts. And I think that this is a character that, for as well loved as the character is, for being a character that truthfully was only in lore for a couple of minutes, like, you know what I mean, in a
The
movie or
facts.
whatever, but has garnered so much love and so much
Uh-huh.
attention and so, all that kind of stuff. Like, this is a thing that is deserved and it needs to be done really well. And I feel like they nailed it.
I like
Like,
that.
they nailed it. So, um, kudos to, the team behind it and them kind of really being able to take it and run with it, because I think that they did a phenomenal job. And my complaints are like my style
Your
of complaint.
personal, your personal type of ones that
Yeah, they're
that the
my kinds
average
of
person.
like, for anybody else, I could very easily see why this would be a 10. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For somebody else. But for me, meh. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised that you're at an 8. and not at
Nah,
something higher.
some higher. No, I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it, and I think with I feel like this will probably grow a little bit as we get more from it. Like I think season one was I think it's a solid foundation, and I think this will
Hmm.
be one of those that will grow a little bit over time with me as we start
Sure.
building a little bit more on the story for it. But I would say like it's great. Like I think just like you said, the average person is probably gonna say this is a 10 right out the gate. I think there's
Yeah.
some normal Star Wars tropes and things that are in there that after a while you see it's like okay, Order 66 once again apparently did not do so well because we still have Jedi that are out here that like it's just
I
some
mean,
of the
which is
same.
fine, bro. Like that's fine.
Right.
Like that's just look again. Like I'm gonna always have issues with things like the acid fight. Right? We got to get over the acid. We can't quite Jedi jump
Jump.
far enough
Mm.
to get over it. Cool. But we're also not quite strong enough in the force to force push the jump across.
I was
Like
thinking the
we
same
can't
thing.
force push that little. Stop it, dog. Just
Like
stop. Like
I get
those things, they burn me up, bro. Like they
I feel
burn me up. And it's I just there are times when I feel like they write themselves into a corner
mm-hmm.
that they have to figure out how to write
Figure out a way
themselves
to get
out
out of
of.
it.
And when you make your characters so powerful, that powerful, right? That like I don't know, what do we do? Like let them force push it a little bit,
That's what I
but
was
let
thinking.
it be like
Do a little bit of the
kind of
push, and then
resist.
obviously the Imperials and all them show up. And you know what? Your strong fighters got. Hey, listen, I can't push that. I gotta go stop them right now because ain't none of y'all gonna be able to fight any of the Inquisitors. Like, and that like,
Hey, bro, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. Again, it's just what look as a strategist, as the kind of person who thinks strategy first
mm-hmm,
and foremost. The minute I know they're coming, my strategy is get them on the other side of us, force push them into the acid. Let's
mm-hmm.
call it a day.
Call it a
Like,
day.
why are we fighting? Like, for real, why are we fighting? Like, they don't know it's acid. We do. You know what I mean? Like, he, here's the plan, y'all. When they get here, we got to get them on the other side of us, and we're going to shove them. We're going to shove them into the drink, bro.
Listen,
Fight's over.
Vader to thrown all of them in that acid without two.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, jokes. But like those moments, even when I'm enjoying the fight and I'm enjoying the choreography and I'm enjoying all of what's going on and the distractions and the people getting across and it's tense and it feels good and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The strategist in me, the choreographer of my like if I was doing like just looking at it and thinking about it, I'd be like, "Hey, Slim," like I know I said out loud, "Hey, just shove Slim into the acid. What are we doing?"
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was
like I
expecting
just
the majority of the stormtroopers. I was for sure them like a few of them did eat it, but I was like, oh yeah, just throw all of them. Like obviously, the Inquisitors, the Sith, the Jedi, like they gotta fight. They got license. They gotta do their thing. But I was just like, all the stormtroopers. I was like, all of them can just chuck all of them in and call it a day. It was
I don't know, dog.
it was Maul's brothers that hey, listen, shout out to the one dude, he sacrificed himself. He took whole squad of them stormtroopers into the acid, and my man knew he wasn't coming out of the acid for
He
anything.
did. He did. And you know what? I highly appreciate Slim for that. I really do. I really do. I highly appreciate that. At the end of the day though, like, I don't know. Like look, I am I'm like Star Wars adjacent in terms of
Mm-hmm.
being a fan. There's a lot of things I really like about Star Wars. There are things I love about Star Wars. There are pieces of information that I'm just like, I'm not digging that deep because I just feel like
Right,
you got to
a
dig
lot of that
deep.
extra
And like,
lore.
I don't know, dog. Like maybe you can't just force pull a Sith or a Jedi's lightsaber out of their hand. But I know damn well that's the first thing I'm doing. If you show up, bro, and you light that thing up,
Joint.
look, bro, I don't need it. I'm not trying to fight you with it. I'm just throwing it in the acid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. Like, I'm not even trying to, like, you're not showing up to fight me wearing a mask. I'm gonna yoink that joint. Like, I'm gonna crush it around your face. Like, we're gonna, like, you know what I mean? Like, just, like, when I think about it takes me out, bro. That's really all there is to it. Like, I don't want to keep, because I beat this joint up, and I don't want to do that because I enjoyed it. But I'll beat the joint up, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, why didn't they just?
Hey, listen, Star Wars. We got to do Star Wars things, so we can't just chuck everybody into the
Exactly,
acid.
bro. It is truthfully, bro. What Jedi don't do that they could do, for me, is equivalent to the fact that stormtroopers can't shoot. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Like, that whole, like, stormtroopers are a terrible shot thing. Yes. And Jedi, all of them are terrible at choosing when and how to use their force powers. Like, it's just,
Yep.
I hate it all.
And
It's the
that's
same
why,
thing.
and that's why Lawson probably didn't die at the end of this, because he just walked into smoke with the stormtrooper shooting into it. He probably missed every single one of them shots.
Especially considering they couldn't see. Like, they already can't shoot. So, like, I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. I think. Any other words or anything before? Cool.
nope,
Score
because I
sounds like
almost
for
talked
you.
myself out of an 8.5, and we don't want to do that.
Hey, listen, that's we're gonna cut it right here. So it sounds like we're still good with the 8.5 on your side.
Yeah,
Dig
yeah.
it. I'm still good with an 8. I think over time that number will probably become better, but by all means, Maul Shadow Lord, excellent watch. If you're not necessarily the biggest Star Wars fan, this is probably, like we said, it's probably a cool way to jump in, experience a little bit, and not necessarily get the extra Star Wars overload. Maybe is the way to say it. You don't really know Vader, so obviously when you see Vader, it's gonna kind of be like
Well, look,
that's all
this is
you.
Spoiler Boy, so, like, you should
Oh
have
yeah,
already seen it if you're watching this.
and if not, I mean, appreciate you guys coming here to listen to us talk about it. Maybe you just wanted to make sure it was worth your time to go and do it, and like we said, it's definitely worth your time to go ahead and watch it. So take that
Yeah.
time, do yourself a favor. But I think that will wrap things up for us here. Um, thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're listening, whether you're watching. This has been your Spoiler Boys for Maul Shadow Lord. So make sure you guys stay tuned, because there's definitely some more Spoiler Boys action coming your way. But for the homie Gage, this is your boy Jokes. We will catch you on the next episode of Spoiler Boys.
No, no, no.